We've totally smashed it this year in crypto, accurately capturing the true trend. Still today, most coins are in a downtrend. Then why not study some other fields, look for some other opportunities to make money while waiting for this trend to turn around? Look at this chart. It first dropped from 20 cents down to half a cent. Then it had a run up to almost $10. That's over 1000x increase. Or how about this one? It went from 120 down to 6 cents. That's a drop of 99.95%. Then it bounced and went up again, and currently been ranging from about 56 cents up to 120. All this is in Australian dollars. That's a good 20x up from the bottom. Does this look familiar? So which altcoins are these? I love it. Great volatility, similar price movements as in crypto, and on a similar time frame. Clearly there's a lot of opportunity here. As you probably recall if you've been here a long time, tech stocks like Apple, Amazon, Twitter, Google or Nvidia look really similar to crypto charts like Ethereum, BNB, Solana or Bitcoin, but on different time frames. With tech stocks, maybe you have to wait 20 years, while crypto charts complete the same chart in 2 years. That's better. And what I showed here look much more similar to the crypto charts than to the tech stock charts in terms of time frame. So what industry are we talking about here? And how can companies that drop that much regain that much? How come these companies are not bankrupt after such a downward trend? Can you guess? Let's first look into what industry these companies operate in. The uranium space. You know, the fuel for nuclear reactors. The commodity space, including uranium, is a very cyclical market, requiring a lot of capital. With these companies, you need to buy them when they are out of favor and keep them as the need for the commodity grows. The upswing phase in these cycles result from a lag between unexpected, persistent and positive trends in uranium demand with slow-moving supply, such as the building of a new mine. And you can't really stop the nuclear reactor once you've built it, so everyone is scrambling for supply. Eventually, as adequate supply becomes available and demand growth slows, the cycle enters a downswing phase, which, as you saw, can lead to an equally crazy mismatch between supply and demand. Uranium, anyone? Hello? The fully loaded cost of producing a pound of uranium is about $65, but it is being sold for $50 on the spot market, so the producers lose money. Then either the price will go up or the uranium producers will stop producing it. In the US, 15 to 20% of the base load power comes from uranium. So, if the uranium producers stop producing, the lights will go out. That will probably not happen. And if you watched my energy crisis video, you know what technical complications there are with many other sources of power. So, there's at least a good chance that the price will rise for this reason. But let's look more into the details. There are 441 nuclear reactors in the world today, with 12 uranium mines providing about 80% of the global production. Current uranium stockpiles are being bought at a rapid pace, including by a relatively new entrant, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Invests and holds substantially all of its assets in the form of U3O8, which is a kinetically and thermodynamically stable form of uranium. And it's an exchange-traded investment alternatives for investors interested in holding uranium. And according to themselves, they're the world's largest physical uranium fund, based on this recent data. The inception date of this fund was in July 2021, and since then they've bought roughly 59 million pounds of uranium, which they are not planning to sell now, even as the price increases, as a result of which the physical uranium market is very thin and continues to grow thinner and thinner. Let's look at some other indicators showing that the need for uranium might be growing. This is from September 2022. Japan's restart of nuclear reactors will help Europe's winter energy supply, IEA chief says. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said in August that Japan will restart more idle nuclear plants and look at developing next-generation reactors, setting the stage for a major policy shift on nuclear energy a decade after the Fukushima disaster, which which was in 2011. Let's continue. China's nuclear pipeline is as big as the rest of the world's combined. Today, China is only the world's third largest nuclear nation. By installed nuclear capacity 2021 in gigawatt, China is here, France is actually here, and US is here. But if we scroll up to the plan, countries by new nuclear power capacity pipeline, also in gigawatt, you see China 245. Remember, here was 51. In 2003, China had 3 reactors. Today they have 55, and they have another 19 under construction, 43 awaiting permits, and a massive 166 reactors that's been announced. Germany extends lifetime of remaining nuclear plants. From October 2022, Biden administration launches a 6 billion nuclear power credit program. In India, Modi is doing a nuclear power push. New plants on the way. Canada is active. This is happening in France. France looks into increasing uranium enrichment capacity from October 2022. But who cares about what small, insignificant countries like Japan, Canada, US, India and China are doing? What is Sweden doing? Well, Sweden has a new government, and the current Prime Minister, together with the Minister of Energy and Environment, wrote an article just 2 weeks ago. Fossil-free and plannable electricity. The government plans for an electricity requirement of at least 300 terawatt-hours in 2045, doubling from today. This means that new nuclear power will be needed, which in turn requires a change in energy policy. The prohibitions in the environmental code against new reactors in new locations and against more than 10 reactors in simultaneous operations are removed. The energy policy goal is changed from 100% renewable to 100% fossil-free. The prerequisites for nuclear power are strengthened through government credit guarantees. The permit processes are shortened and administrative fast tracks are introduced. Of course, I was joking before when I was saying small nations, but sometimes what Sweden is doing turns out to be a precursor for many big trends because Sweden is such an advanced country. Nevertheless, I think this quick review made it clear that there is definitely a shift towards tremendous increase in demand for uranium, which has been building up during the past years. And this demand can continue to grow over quite long time periods. And there is more. Now, as you saw in the Swedish article, uranium is again redefined as a green energy, which in this day and age is very important and definitely another bonus. This energy density review I think is illustrative. Here's natural gas, gallons of oil, 1 ton of coal, and here, this one here, less than 10 of these 1-inch tall uranium pellets can cover the average household for a year. And in terms of CO2 emission per kilowatt hour produced, we have coal, biomass, natural gas, geothermal, solar on roof, concentrated solar, wind and nuclear. But of course there is a storage problem with nuclear waste, which I talked about in this video. Then we have this prediction of rising demand for uranium over the next decades, especially within the context of the gas pipeline between Europe and Russia being shut off, the war in Ukraine, which is impacting Kazakhstan uranium delivery routes. And as you can see here, Kazakhstan is actually the second world largest producer of uranium after Australia. Finally, we look at the total market cap for uranium, which is surprisingly small. I was actually super shocked seeing this. FTX and others lose money like this in 2 happy days of trading. It's so small that any change in narrative starts driving the price. It behaves like an altcoin, although it does not follow a Bitcoin-related narrative. And uranium has already largely decoupled from the overall market sentiment. The world kind of felt that nuclear power was going out of style, replaced by wind and solar. But as you heard in the energy crisis video, at least here in Europe, we managed to switch off the old systems before we had any replacements done, which was, in 2 words, pretty dumb. So the world has kind of underinvested in uranium for many years. And of course we can't meet an increased demand without an increased supply. And given that it typically takes around 10 years to go from exploring to a fully productive mine, which is a very long and expensive and lengthy process, the price of uranium could start going up again, and it could be like funneling the Hoover Dam through a garden hose. But please note that most contracts in the uranium business are long-term, including price ceilings. to protect customers and price floors to protect mines. Although spot prices affect the overall market price, this change does not happen overnight. We are at the doorsteps of this to happen, and hence, I think an open-minded look at the uranium could be a good play. Now, what could be the reward? In the past time, the 2000 to the 2006-2007, it started with only 5 juniors in the market. And the worst performing one did 22x, while the best, Paladin, went from less than 1 cent to $10, more than 1000x. But the number of uranium companies went from 15 to over 500, so that's also important when thinking about the specific companies. Same like altcoins, just because the total market cap goes up a lot doesn't mean that each specific individual one do. While during that period, they all did. And now the market has fallen from 500 companies back down to about 40. With only a handful of high-quality companies, from what I can understand. So how many teams globally even exist that can build mines for uranium production? Probably very few, as we can deduce from the number of companies. And most are not in the business of exploration and building mines. But I know what you're thinking. Do we even need nuclear energy now? We have global warming, right? Today is first snow. Yesterday when I was out jogging, it's cold, the snow is melting on the shoes so it gets wet, the toes are bleeding. Then I thought about something that my wife said once. Tough climate makes tough people. And I think there's some truth to that. It's not despite your hardships that you get on in life. It's because of them. Today when walking with the kids to the preschool, it's tough, they have to walk through the snow, it's cold. It makes them tougher. So now that we've had a really tough stretch in the crypto markets, forge it, love it, craft it, turn it into your biggest strength. It's a blessing in disguise because it makes you tougher. Cherish your bleeding toes and toughen the up. For me, this is a starting point. I don't have all the answers, and I certainly can't predict the future of markets, but I recognize the opportunity. Remember the last video with the hodl sucks socks, where I said that commodities don't trend in the same way as global technology? Well, this is a global technology, and it does trend exactly like an altcoin. So this is the exception to the rule. In the next session, we will go and analyze some of the uranium stocks in more detail. Please subscribe and bell if you want to see it, and comment below if you have specific requests. Hodl sucks socks on. Thank you, tack. City och Larsen out. Hej då.